Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories and the big developments that happened today. One of them is, of course, what's been happening between the PDP and the BJP over the formation of government in Kashmir. The PDP set out an 11-point agenda for the BJP. So where are the talks going right now? We'll be updating you on that over the next half hour, along with a host of stories from India and across the world. But first, the headlines. Fresh impetus to India-Sri Lanka ties as visiting Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena holds talks with Prime Minister Modi, agree to cooperate on civil nuclear energy amongst other things. The PDP and the BJP look to iron out hurdles towards formation of a government in Jammu and Kashmir. 11-point charter of demands set by the PDP to be the centre of negotiations. Wholesale price index for January dips on the back of falling fuel prices, but food inflation climbs further to 8%. Egypt bombs Islamic State targets in Libya hours after the group published video showing beheadings of 21 Egyptian Christians. And the first shock of the Cricket World Cup. Ireland stunned the West Indies in their Pool B match in Nelson, chasing down a 304-run target. A focus story for this evening. The PDP and the BJP are working on a common minimum program for a coalition government in Jammu and Kashmir. Both parties are keen to put up a new dispensation in place before the budget session. But there's still much ground to cover before this. So let's take a look at the details.
50 days after Jammu and Kashmir got a fractured mandate, the PDP and the BJP are injecting a sense of urgency into their talks to form a coalition government. But the road ahead is not easy. The BJP feels many issues still need to be ironed out.
It's important that all the issues are discussed, deliberated and ironed out before a concrete move is made towards government formation, and hopefully such a situation, a conclusion of these discussions will happen very soon.
The PDP has an 11-point proposal. The BJP is yet to agree on a few of these proposals. The PDP is seeking clarity on dialogue with Pakistan and the separatist leaders of Kashmir, removal of FSPA from the valley within a year, freeing land controlled by the army, status quo on Article 370, return of power projects, Indus Water Treaty compensation, free travel and trade between Kashmir and Pakistan occupied Kashmir, status quo on West Pakistan refugee settlement, coal mine allotment and return of jailed youths outside the state, among other things.
There are more areas of convergence now as a result of talks and informal talks than there are areas of divergence. But we have faith in our leadership to skillfully negotiate.
I think they can have consensus on this thing. They should be able to forge some consensus, but I think ultimately I think the PDP line will have to prevail because I think politically, if you look at what happened in Delhi in the election, the BJP really doesn't have much bargaining power, and people of Jammu and Kashmir know that if BJP is not able to form the government in J&K this time, they're not going to ever have such a chance again.
The PDP has formed a 6-member team that will meet Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on Tuesday. Jaitley is the BJP's negotiator for the government formation. In principle, the BJP has agreed for a 6-year term for Saeed, while the party will hold the post of Deputy Chief Minister, which is expected to be given to State BJP leader Nirmal Singh. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And we're joined by senior journalist Rahul Jalali to help us understand, Rahul, as far as the ties between the BJP and the BJP and the PDP are concerned. I mean, they've not been often the best in terms of old history, but now a new government, both looking keen, but the issues, are quite fundamental between the two parties.
Well, I think basically you have to look at it into a different perspective. I think this entire issue of 11-point program, etc., has come up because formal level talks are beginning now. But look at what has happened till today. You've had an informal dialogue going on between the two parties for a pretty length of time. And also, look at the alliances which they formed. Look at Rajya Sabha polls. the two parties entered into an alliance to get their representatives elected to Rajya Sabha.
Right.
A similar thing is going to happen as far as the Legislative Council of Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, the polls to which are going to take place before the 2nd of March. So all these alliances are already in place. Problem is that you have two separate constituencies as far as the two parties are concerned. One is Jammu, one is Kashmir. Both these constituencies, PDP is in Kashmir, BJP is in Jammu. Both these parties have sold a different kind of a political agenda to their electorate. They've got to justify their particular agenda. Now for PDP, it's imperative that what BJP has brought to the table, some of it that they can agree, but some they just can't. Similarly, for BJP, it becomes imperative to agree to certain of the demands, not the others. Like you've said, that there is a virtual consensus on who will be the Chief Minister and the Deputy Chief Minister. Plus, even there is a consensus on cabinet post.
Right.
So look at this alliance. While you've decided on the ministerial post, yet the ideological problems remain. And what are these basic problems? I think the essential point is that the PDP wants a blanket commitment from BJP that it's going to do nothing, say nothing about Article 370. Right. Second, it wants a time frame on the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, removal of that Armed Forces Special Powers Act. PDP is insisting during their informal dialogues, they insisted that there should be a 1-year time frame. I don't think BJP is in a position to do that. Secondly, BJP is insisting that the question of statehood for the West Pakistani refugees who are in Jammu, statehood be granted for them.
Right.
That is something which PDP cannot agree. And this is where the rub lies. Now, who's going to climb down? Look, let's be sure that the government will be formed. These two parties will enter into alliance. Question is, who blinks first?
All right, but the contentious issue of the Hurriyat is also there. I mean, the Indo-Pak talks were called off, and also among the PDP's demands is the reconciliation process with Pakistan.
No, I don't agree with that. I think this is more a media creation. In fact, there has been some informal links which have been established. Centre has, shown its intention. They are, the Foreign Secretary is going to Pakistan, which is, yes, a part of a larger trip. But nonetheless, he is carrying some kind of a message to the Pakistani Prime Minister. Indications are that dialogue process on the Pakistan front will begin. As far as entering into some kind of a dialogue, let me assure you that some level of track two dialoguing has begun with the separatists in Kashmir. So I do not think those two issues are really that contentious as they sounded out to be. But certainly the other three which I pointed out, and also on one cabinet issue there is still a bit of a problem, but I think that will be resolved, and that is where BJP is insisting that home and finance be given to them. I think PDP will want to keep home. They might part with finance. Instead, they would insist that education be kept with them. So this is the only contentious issues between these two. But the alliance is already there. It's a question of who blinks first, and when do they announce a formal settlement of this common minimum program. Right. So it's just a question of time.
All right, it might be a question of time, but time is enough in terms of 6 years for them to really prove this alliance. But the road ahead for them also, Mr. Jalali, won't be that easy. I mean, the ideological differences are that vast that for both of them to function in the government, you might have a point of time where the Chief Minister is being told off by his own cabinet members. So, I mean, the kind of contention that is there between the two parties, how do you see it playing out over the next 6 years?
Well, I think you've got a point there. I mean, I don't think once they are in power, they're in saddle, running the government is going to be that easy. Because these are polarizing demands from the two regions. BJP's politics in Jammu has, on which basis they've got these seats, 25 seats. And PDP's politics, on the basis of which they've got seats in Kashmir Valley, their 28 seats, has been on two different opposing planks. PDP has opposed BJP's entry into Jammu and therefore won the election. Right. BJP has had a certain agenda, which is West Pakistani refugees being given a status, that Article 370 to be diluted. All these are a part of their agenda. And greater say for Jammu. There's another issue, delimitation, which is that the number of seats which Jammu has should go up. Now, these are issues which BJP has brought to the table, has promised its electorate. Now, obviously, there are contradictions between the two. One is, it's like saying that you're going to join North and South Pole.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be easy. So, even once they come to power, how do they run this coalition, and for how long will this coalition continue? Because there are going to be tremendous pressures on this coalition to deliver. Secondly, look at the state. There has been no delivery mechanism as far as of now for the flood affected.
Right.
They are still in refugee camps. They've shivered through this winter. Nothing has come to them. So what do you do in terms of deliverance? Look at the finances. The coffers are empty. Not only empty, the state highly in debt. It's borrowed. It's probably its next budget also. So what are you going to do there? So these are issues which this alliance has got to grapple with.
Right. All right, so a host of issues for the alliance to grapple with, and we'll have to wait and watch as far as the final semantics of this entire coalition goes. But thank you very much, Rahul Jalali, for coming in and helping us understand the negotiations that are on a little better. All right, moving on now on to Bihar, where in a jolt to Bihar Chief Minister Jiten Ram Manjhi today, the Patna High Court restrained his government from taking any policy decisions. The court said that Manjhi can only work on routine matters till majority is proven on the floor of the House. Meanwhile, state leaders continued to engage in a verbal duel over the political situation in Bihar. BJP leaders alleged that Nitish Kumar had paraded what the party called bogus MLAs before the president. Now, India and Sri Lanka are to cooperate on use of civil nuclear energy besides enhancement of economic and cultural ties. 4 agreements were signed after visiting Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi today. The landmark visit by the new Sri Lankan President is seen as an opportunity for both sides to rescript and reboot ties.
A ceremonial state welcome to the new man in charge in Sri Lanka as India looks for a fresh impetus to strategic, economic and cultural ties that had turned frosty in recent years. The fact that President Sirisena's first overseas visit is to India itself indicates the importance he is willing to give to the relationship, an opportunity to set fresh directions. The External Affairs Ministry laid out great expectations from the visit.
We expect as close and friendly neighbors to discuss all aspects of our relationship. These include matters of an economic and commercial nature, matters which are unique to India and Sri Lanka in terms of our development partnership, and other issues of interest to both our countries.
After the customary Rajghat visit, President Sirisena and Prime Minister Modi held detailed talks on bilateral economic and cultural issues. The two sides promised to unlock the vast potential of economic cooperation, with India committing on being Sri Lanka's biggest trade partner and greater balance of trade. Besides agreeing to continue discussions on connectivity, fishermen and defence cooperation, the two sides have signed 4 agreements. The first on cooperation on peaceful uses of nuclear energy, an MOU on joint participation in the Nalanda University project, an MOU on cooperation in agriculture, and a 3-year program on cultural cooperation.
Bilateral agreement on civil nuclear cooperation is yet another demonstration of our mutual trust. This is the first such agreement Sri Lanka has signed. It opens new avenues for cooperation, including in areas like agriculture and healthcare.
In the last month since he took power, Sirisena has sent out signals of mending fences with Tamils alienated during Rajapaksa's rule and the civil war, and a slowdown in reaching out to China. From that, India has shown a keenness to take the relationship further. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Time for a quick break right now, but coming up on the other side, high alert has been sounded in Denmark as the police have arrested 2 men suspected of having aided the attacker in Sunday's shootings.
India and Pakistan agree to talk. Hopes arise of a fresh thaw after months of cold vibes. How did the breakthrough come about, and why now? Watch The Big Picture at 6:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
श्रीलंका के राष्ट्रपति की भारत यात्रा, परमाणु ऊर्जा, विकास और सामुद्रिक सुरक्षा के हुए समझौते, रिश्तों को मिला नया आयाम। देखिए पहली खबर, भारत में सिरिसेना, आज शाम 7 बजे। दिल्ली सरकार की कैबिनेट बैठक, लोगों को है इंतजार चुनावी वादे पूरे होने का।
बिजली के दाम फिर से आगे करेंगे, गृहिणियों के लिए महंगाई दूर करेंगे, पूरी दिल्ली को फ्री वाईफाई से कनेक्ट किया जाएगा।
देखिए पहली खबर, दिल्ली कैबिनेट, आज रात 8 बजे।
Hello and welcome to India's World.
For us in the Arab world, we see the American Obama president has killed more than George Bush.
What Mr. President Obama is doing is he's just clearing the ground for further for his domestic audience. And secondly, don't forget that his term is just short of 2 years.
ISIS poses attractions for some Muslims, particularly in parts of Southwest Asia.
Watch the experts debate the United States' planned offensive on the Islamic State in India's World, only on Rajya Sabha television.
India and Pakistan agree to talk. Hopes arise of a fresh thaw after months of cold vibes. How did the breakthrough come about and why now? Watch The Big Picture at 6:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
श्रीलंका के राष्ट्रपति की भारत यात्रा, परमाणु ऊर्जा, विकास और सामुद्रिक सुरक्षा के हुए समझौते, रिश्तों को मिला नया आयाम। देखिए पहली खबर, भारत में सिरिसेना, आज शाम 7 बजे।
Welcome back, you're watching the news at 6. Now, the wholesale price index declined to a 5.5-year low in January and stood negative at 0.39%. The WPI plummeted on the back of falling prices of manufactured and fuel items. But a major cause for concern was food inflation that inched upwards.
For the second time in 3 months, the wholesale price index showed a negative growth of 0.39% in January, lower than 0.11% inflation recorded in December. Fuel and power contributed the most to the fall in the wholesale prices. Prices declined 10.69% in January against a fall of 7.82% in December. Petrol turned cheaper by 17.08% in January against 11.96% in December. Diesel came down 10.41% in January against 6.31% in December. Cooking gas prices fell 7.65% in January against 3.19% in December. Inflation in manufactured products also declined to 1.05% in January against 1.57% in the previous month. However, food items continue to show inflationary trends. From 5.2% rise in December, prices rose 8% in January, mainly pushed up by vegetables. Vegetable prices rose 19.74% in January compared to a 4.78% contraction in prices in December. Analysts feel that the negative WPI will bring little comfort to the consumers.
I see as a temporary phenomena because of the market forces, international, you see, the prices fuel determinate. But I think the relief to the poor man has yet to come. It has not, you see, something substantial.
The fall in the wholesale price index could increase demands for further interest rate cuts by Reserve Bank of India. But the central bank may not oblige, since it mainly focuses on consumer inflation that edged up to 5.11% in January compared to 4.28% in December.
While there was no let-up in food inflation, the plunge in petrol and diesel prices came on account of falling international crude oil prices. Petrol and diesel prices were hiked by 82 and 61 paise per litre on Sunday, reversing the downward trend of the last 6 months. Reporting from Delhi, Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Former Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Sahib Ramarao Patil, or R.R. Patil, who was diagnosed with cancer recently, has passed away. An NCP party spokesperson confirmed this a short while ago. Patil was admitted to the Breach Candy Hospital a couple of months ago and had undergone surgery for cancer. Patil was the Home Minister of Maharashtra. In fact, he became the Home Minister for the second time after the Congress-NCP alliance won the 2009 Maharashtra Assembly elections. He was first elected to the Maharashtra Assembly in 1990 from Tasgaon and won several elections after that. In 2004, he became the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Now on to news of an attack on a whistleblower. Veteran left leader Govind Pansare and his wife were shot at near their home in Maharashtra's Kolhapur city this morning. Huh?
आणि पोलिसांनी आता तातडीनं 10 टीम्स तयार केलेल्या आहेत. हल्लेखोरांना पकडण्याचा प्रयत्न सुरू आहे. सगळी नाकाबंदी केलेली आहे. मी स्वतः एसपींना सांगितलंय की कुठल्याही परिस्थितीमध्ये तातडीनं यांना पकडलं पाहिजे.
Now some international news. A day after twin shootings in Copenhagen, Danish police today arrested 2 men who helped the gunman in carrying out the attack. The suspected gunman, Omar Al-Hussein, was shot dead by police officials on Sunday after the attack of free speech debate and a synagogue. 2 accomplices have been charged with providing weapons. Officials are yet to reveal their names. They are to be produced in court on Monday. The head of Danish intelligence said that the attackers could have been inspired by the Paris shootings last month. Condolence ceremonies and candlelight vigils were held across Denmark for the 2 killed in the Sunday morning attacks.
Det var jo sådan, at da gerningsmanden blev skudt og dræbt af politiets aktionsstyrke, der var han bevæbnet med pistoler. Det, der er nyt i sagen nu, det er, at vi har fundet et såkaldt langt våben, som vi formoder kan være gerningsvåbnet til den første skudepisode. Derudover har vi fundet noget beklædning, som nu også indgår i efterforskningen.
The ceasefire agreement in Ukraine is in trouble as firing still continues in vulnerable areas. Although the fighting was reported to have lowered in intensity, shelling continued through Sunday, mainly in Luhansk, a region of Debaltseve. Now, in other areas of Ukraine, the ceasefire was broadly observed. Meanwhile, monitors from the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe were denied access to eastern border by separatists. A military spokesperson said Ukrainian troops had come under fire 60 times after the truce came into force. Well, we'll take a very quick break right now, but lots more on the other side, so stay tuned.
India and Pakistan agree to talk. Hopes arise of a fresh thaw after months of cold vibes. How did the breakthrough come about, and why now? Watch The Big Picture at 6:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
श्रीलंका के राष्ट्रपति की भारत यात्रा, परमाणु ऊर्जा, विकास और सामुद्रिक सुरक्षा के हुए समझौते, रिश्तों को मिला नया आयाम। देखिए पहली खबर, भारत में सिरिसेना, आज शाम 7 बजे। दिल्ली सरकार की कैबिनेट बैठक, लोगों को है इंतजार, चुनावी वादे पूरे होने का।
बिजली के दाम फिर से आगे करेंगे, गृहिणियों के लिए महंगाई दूर करेंगे, पूरी दिल्ली को फ्री वाईफाई से कनेक्ट किया जाएगा।
देखिए पहली खबर, दिल्ली कैबिनेट, आज रात 8 बजे।
Hello and welcome to India's World. For us in the Arab world, we see the American Obama president has killed more than George Bush.
What Mr. President Obama is doing is he's just clearing the ground for further for his domestic audience. And secondly, don't forget that his term is just short of 2 years.
ISIS poses attractions for some Muslims, particularly in parts of Southwest Asia.
Watch the experts debate the United States' planned offensive on the Islamic State in India's World, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back, you're watching the news at 6. Now, Egypt bombed Islamic State targets in Libya hours after the terror group released a horrific video purportedly showing the beheadings of 21 Egyptian Coptic Christians. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi condemned inhuman killings and vowed to avenge them. Sisi also declared a 7-day mourning.
Egypt strikes back against the IS targets in Libya. F-16 jets targeted IS camps, training sites and weapon storage areas. This after Islamic State militants released a video apparently showing the brutal beheadings of 21 Coptic Egyptian Christians. The video, bearing the hallmark of IS execution strategy, shows IS militants marching 21 captives, all dressed in orange jumpsuits, to a beach site which is apparently somewhere near Tripoli.
Today, we're on the south of Rome, on the land of Islam, Libya, sending another message. O Crusaders, safety for you will be only wishes, especially when you're fighting us all together. Therefore, we will fight you all together until the war lays down its burdens.
After the 5 minutes video surfaced on IS Twitter handle, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi declared that Cairo would choose the necessary means and timing to avenge the criminal killings. He also advised against traveling to Libya.
إن مصر تحتفظ لنفسها بحق الرد وبالأسلوب والتوقيت المناسب للقصاص من هؤلاء القتلة والمجرمين المتجردين.
يعني ما تم ده عملية إرهابية همجية بربرية تعود إلى العصر الحجري، ولا أتصور من يقوم بهذا. مصر من حقها 100% الدفاع عن نفسها، ولا بد أن تتخذ إجراءات ضد مثل هذا الإرهاب.
The beheadings, the first by IS outside Syria and Iraq, has intensified international concerns. The incident raises possibilities of the IS having established a direct affiliate close to the southern Italy. One of the IS militants in the video also makes a direct reference to that possibility, saying that the group now plans to conquer Rome. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to sports now, where giant killers Ireland struck against the West Indies at Nelson today in their first World Cup match. The Irish chased down 304 runs put up by the Caribbeans and won with 4 wickets to spare. Ireland's win centred around the batting efforts of Paul Sterling, who made 92, and Ed Joyce's 84 not out. Niall O'Brien made a 79 not out. The West Indies attack was criticised for bowling short and fielding poorly. The Windies had made it to 304 for 7 in their 50 overs after stuttering at 87 for 5 at stage 1. With this win, Ireland are well placed to qualify for the quarter-final stage.
For it and gets it well. Very well played.
Well, that's all from us. Goodbye.